I watch it's 11:01, so we're either doing just right or we're a minute late. Welcome, and we're glad to have you here today. This is a city council workshop of September the 2nd, 2025. If you would stand and join us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Nancy. First item on our agenda is to be heard. Participation instructions are provided in writing beginning the agenda. The Texas Open Meetings Act permits a member of the public, a member of the governmental body to raise a subject that has not been included in the notice for the meeting. However, any discussion of the subject must be limited to a proposal to place the subject on an agenda for a future meeting, and any response to a question posed to the city council is limited to either a statement of specific factual information or a recitation of existing policy. Comments from the public are welcome. You have every right in the world to be here. We're glad that you are here. If you have got a form filled out, I think I've got 14 or 15 here, and we've got a couple that came in by email. We will do those. We will entertain anything that you have to say within the decorum standards, and we're asking to be courteous and respectful in what you do. First person I have for signature to be heard is Chad Mitchell. If you will stand where you are, that mic right above your head there should pick you up, and give us your name and where you're from.
Thank you. Chad Mitchell, live on 401 Embrey Unit 16. Good morning. Over the past few years, Rockport has made some hard choices. There were years when we held back, but that left us falling behind on the basics. Last year, you began correcting the course, funding drainage, road work, and critical safety equipment. This year's budget keeps that progress moving, and that is exactly what our community needs. We've all seen what happens when progress gets deferred, projects pile up, staff gets stretched thin, and the essentials, roads, drainage, utilities start to slip. Those are the very things that make Rockport livable for residents and attractive to visitors. And tourism, as we know, is one of our strongest economic engines. This budget also uses something that can be misunderstood, debt as a tool. When handled responsibly, debt is not a weakness. It's a way to act now on the projects that can't wait, like roads, drainage, and public safety. It spreads costs fairly over time, and it shows Rockport is willing to invest in itself rather than push problems further down the road. At its heart, this budget is about three things: people, supporting and retaining staff so services stay reliable; progress, roads that work; drainage that protects; and utilities that keep pace; and confidence, sending a clear signal that Rockport is growing stronger and planning for the future. I know there will be critics, there always are, but I urge you to not let the loudest voices drown out the larger silent majority who wants to see Rockport succeed. Most of us understand that progress requires investment, and we trust you to make the tough decisions to move us forward. Let's not go back to delay and deferral. Let's build on the momentum you've started. Let's make Rockport stronger, more resilient, and more attractive for residents, visitors, and generations to come. Thank you for your service and my opportunity to speak today.
Not, I'll watch it on my watch. I will wave at you when your time's running out, so you know that you're running down. We don't have a clock up there, so me and my watch are going to keep up with it. Okay. Next person I have is Kate McCloud. Good. That'll work. Or somebody up here can wave at you and let you know you're fine. Go right ahead. You got 3 minutes.
Thank you for having me today. As some of you guys might know, my name is Katie McCloud. I'm a Rockport resident. I'm a small business owner, and I am the president of the Rockport Fulton RV Park Council. I am here today representing the RV Park Council. We want to issue a clear warning. Raising property taxes without first balancing the budget is detrimental to both our community and our locally run business. We urge City Council to prioritize essential services and seek out grant opportunities rather than increase spending across the board. There is a reason that the state of Texas has put into law that the rates cannot be raised by more than 3.5%, which is actually lowered to 1% as of last week. The proposed property tax raise is a burden that will fall hardest on small businesses and middle-class families, who are the backbone of Rockport. When faced with steep tax increases, businesses could be forced to raise prices, cut staff, or scale back investment. That means a higher cost for residents, fewer tourists choosing Rockport as their holiday destination, and lost jobs that could hurt our local economy. I recently came across a troubling statistic. Corpus Christi's population declined by 0.16% in 2025, while Texas overall grew by 1.8%, according to the World Review. This stark contrast, it highlights the warning that I raised last week. Raising property taxes ultimately drives population loss, which in turn reduces tax revenue. Rockport, being a smaller city, will feel these effects even more. I also learned that the city is considering Corpus as a revenue growth model. Declining cities are not what we should be emulating. As business owners, we know that you don't grow by following failing examples. You grow by being innovative, efficient, and customer focused, or in this case, community focused. The council must remember, you represent Rockport's residents, including the small business owners who live here, the middle-class families who are being forced out by rising costs, and the tourism economy that sustains this town. The long-term solution is not placing the weight of non-essential spending on their shoulders. The solution is the same as in any successful business. Balance your budget, spend responsibly, and focus on attracting residents and tourists who bring in much-needed revenue to our town. Rockport thrives when our families and small businesses thrive, and I urge this council to protect that future by rejecting this.
Andrew Kane.
Andrew Kane, 2106 Lakeview Drive. The city manager is running a great misinformation campaign, and you are allowing it. If you look at the city's webpage for the budget and tax rate as of right now, you will see she mentions the 3.5% cap on the maintenance operations twice. However, nowhere on that page will you see in plain English that the interest and sinking portion of the tax rate was raised 4.5 pennies, which is 26.7% increase. I wonder why. On the same page, you'll see the statement that the city's rate remains among the lowest in the coastal Bend area. From that statement, you would assume Rockport's budget must be a bargain for its citizens. However, the opposite is true. Rockport has the highest cost of government per capita, as well as the highest debt payment per capita when compared to Corpus Christi, Portland, Sinton, Ingleside, Aransas Pass, and Fulton. That is the reason why the city manager wants to constantly talk about the tax rate while ignoring the valuation portion of the equation and other meaningful matrices. She knows it confuses people, and we saw that when 3 news broadcasts were interviewed with the headline, Rockport considers 10% property tax rate. It is the rate increased. Tax increase is definitely higher. The newspaper properly shows it at 15.5%, not 10%. She flat out lied in an interview when she told news in the years previous to that, we actually did a property tax decrease. No, the tax decreased. The tax rate decreased that year, but the taxes we paid went up, not down. She even confused herself at that moment. So what is this tax increase? The marginal 1% increase the finance director keeps saying, 10% as stated by the city manager, 13.2% is shown in the budget, 18.69 is shown on the city's Facebook post, 19.01 as shown in the newspaper, the notice of public hearing, our proposed budget, or something else like the 15.5% shown in the newspaper. You don't know. As the city manager has not given you the form the state mandates when proposing a tax increase. Once you have that, you will know the percent increase on the tax of the average homestead. We all want Rockport to grow. The newspaper quoted in the last 3 years at 52% property tax increase the last 3 years. I think that plus this is more than enough for this tax for the city budget. Live within your means.
The second.
Barron. My name is Ken Barron. I live at 402 Cascades, the country club, director on the HOA, and all things with storm drainage. Had a large flood in 2021, pretty catastrophic. And for the past 3 years, we've been trying to get money budgeted to resolve problems with our drainage system related to that flood. And this year, we finally have $800,000 listed in the budget to address some of those items. I urge everybody here to support that $800,000 line item so that we can finally start making some progress on getting these items resolved. Because right now, we're still under the same risk of flooding as we were back in 2021, and we're going to flood over and over again until we spend the money to fix the problem. The problem's not going to go away, so now's the time to fix it. Don't want to fix it now. We're getting frustrated trying to get the money, and if you don't support us during the next election, we'll be happy to replace anybody who does not support us in this effort. A very large voting block in the country club, well organized, and we can raise plenty of lobbying money for candidates who will support us in this effort. So I'm not trying to be intimidating here, but this is a very important item we've been asking for over and over again. It's time that we go ahead and proceed with this. Ryan Kickarow, he's got a good plan on resolving these problems. I support Ryan's plan, and I request that all of you also support Ryan's plan. Good plan, and we need to start making progress on this issue. Thank you.
I am a owner. I'm at 23 FM 1781, and we recently endured the income appraisal, and my taxes, property tax, went up significantly, and to have to endure another property tax increase so far force us to probably sell. We are a mother and son team, and we love the thing about Rockport, the small family. And if we have to continue a more property tax, there's no way we can stay in business. And we just would like you to please think about the small family businesses when you make your decisions. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynn Powers.
Eyeglass. I have my speech.
I'm disappointed in how our communities operate. We have the privilege of living in a beautiful, small community with mostly good neighbors. We have a very good, actually a great council, city staff, and police force that work hard to make our city better. They put thought into what they do. You attend and listen to their meetings. It makes sense for the betterment of Rockport. They are always welcome to comments, and they adjust as needed. What disappoints me is when we listen too much to the sensationalism of social media, as it is quicker and easier. Anything can be said, and it does not have to be true. That creates conflict, chaos, and much more work for everyone. It divides our city and our nation. We are a small enough community to work together to make it the best it can be. Occasionally, we might have to reach in our pocketbooks, bring food to a neighbor, or come out and support our city council. Let's try to do more of that than this negativity and finger pointing on social media that does nothing but promote hatred. Thank you for listening.
Kathy Kane. Rockport. I'm actually reading this on behalf of my brother Patrick, so he wasn't sure if you're going to read his written comments, so he gave me his to read. After South Rockport resident Carl Brown pointed out budget irregularities at the last council meeting, Pat decided to look further into the Purple Pipe project to Memorial Park. Carl was correct in stating this project was previously budgeted for $5 million. You can find it in table 3-4 capital improvement plan used to calculate the current utility rates. The rate study on page 48 states The proposed rate plan will ensure that the city's $67.9 million capital improvement plan is fully funded. The plan is to be implemented over the fiscal year 2025-2029 time period. According to table 3-5 in the rate study, there should have been $18,246,000 in projects this last fiscal year and an additional $17,209,000 in projects this coming year. Taking on the debt for these projects would have meant the utilities debt payments would have risen to $3 million for the coming year, but the budget shows $1,527,522 instead. Clearly, the city hasn't taken on the debt to do the project. To continue what Carl stated, you need to ask the city manager, what is the status of each of the projects on the CIP list shown in the rate study? If the utility rate increase already provides the revenue to fund the Purple Pipe project, why was this project included in the debt payments used to increase the INS tax rate? If the city hasn't started the projects, what is it doing with the extra revenue from the rate increase that was supposed to fund these projects? My brother can provide a Pat says he can provide a partial answer to this last question. The city has increased its transfers out of the utility fund and into the general fund from $386,438 in fiscal year 24 to $1,347,733 for the year for admin salaries, despite already collecting a $9,405,677 franchise fee and $882,400 payment in lieu of taxes. Stop milking the utilities like a cash cow and start doing the projects the utility rate increase was intended to fund. That's the end of Pat's statement. I will add, as a county resident and a payer of your services, I object to doing this again to our utility.
Timothy Ortiz, Jr.
I did not prepare myself. I would like to address just take a road right there. I want to say the market leading in Austin Street. Like the lines are getting pretty hard to see.
Austin Street, that general area is one of the things that are best in there. We appreciate your time. Carl Brown.
Carl Brown, 732 South Rockport. Going into my 5th year being a resident of Rockport. I passed y'all around last week a recap of something that I spotted in the report. What I'd like to bring up is Austin Street, it was budgeted for $800,000. We have already gone through all the holidays through the year. We've got the biggest one, hummingbirds, coming up and all that. To me, market presence is very important. Our downtown is terrible. Bumpy roads, belt lines, everything. We're going to make this city grow. That downtown has to be the market presence of what we have in our city. Makes our city look rich. Tires, I have not seen anything going on. 20 years is too late to wait. And the next thing is, city manager put out a monthly report card, and she stated that Poncho Street drainage is done and spent $192,000 and completed. Budget was for $2,403,000 $566. That's 2.211566. That's floating somewhere. So you add 800,000. Not seeing it. Thank you.
Patty Rios says, please read. Do that. Said, I'm in favor of the budget proposed as is. I'm in favor of the salary increase for our police and city workers. Please fix our streets and let's look at the future of Rockport.
That was the wife.
Scarlett Embrey.
Mayor, City Council members, I am going to start with a few obvious statements. Rockport is a waterfront city. Our infrastructure is deteriorated. Without action to create reliable drainage and infrastructure, Rockport risks falling into a decline that threatens the tourism fueling our economy. Neglecting our shoreline and drainage systems will harm both businesses and residents. We must protect our waterfront and city with improved drainage. Investing in drainage, streets, and sewer upgrades is good for everyone who lives in Rockport, not just the neighborhoods currently affected. The majority of our waterfront is not protected by any sort of shoreline protection. When I walked up here last week at the 6th public budget meeting since March, I said that I live in South Rockport and that we have drainage issues. And I thought that would speak for itself. But today I want to elaborate. Living in South Rockport, I've experienced it firsthand. Our garage has been flooded. There are drainage ponds all over the neighborhood that fill up with mosquitoes every time it rains. After big rains and floods, those ponds clog and hold water for weeks at a time, leaving us tortured by swarms of mosquitoes long after the rain has stopped. This affects residents and visitors alike. I do appreciate the mosquito trucks, but they only bring relief for a few days. According to the budget increase, and this is an estimate, so a $200,000 house tax increases by $118 a year, roughly $10 a month. $400,000 house increases by $237 a year, roughly $20 a month. I know the larger the property, the more the taxes, but that is the median, was the $400,000. When my home had flood damage last year, it cost me a lot more than a few $100s. When I personally look at a few $100s added to my tax bill in exchange for better drainage, I consider that a worthy investment that will save money in the long run. In addition to the capital projects, I support our city employees who deserve to be paid fairly and acknowledge the need for police radios whenever the time is appropriate to replace those. These are not luxury items on the budget. They are basics a city must provide, just like the infrastructure projects that have been kicked down the road for too long. I don't like having taxes raised, and I know no one here does. Mayor and City Council, I'm sure you don't enjoy being in this position either, especially with all the criticism that comes with it. I also know you've been working on this since March. Any increase may be a difficult decision, and I respect that residents have different capacities to absorb higher costs. At the same time, I encourage you to make the decisions necessary to prevent our city from declining further. I also encourage you to respectfully hear all voices, especially when alternative funding options are presented, but I urge you not to let those discussions become an excuse to delay or abandon these projects. We are all neighbors who care deeply about this community, and if we work together, we can ensure Rockport not only survives, but thrives.
My name's Keith Stewart. I live at 450 State Highway 35 bypass. I strongly oppose this tax increase. For one, if all of these projects that everybody's talking about is already in the budget, why aren't they being completed? They've been budgeted, why aren't they being done? If you need to budget with what you've got coming in, nobody in this room can say, I make $80,000 a year, but I want to spend $100,000. That's what I need, and then forcibly take it from $80,000 to $100,000 just out of a whim. Nobody in this room can do that. So I don't think the city council should be able to do that either. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
The last one I read from Patty Rios and from Patty Rios, and I read it. Pat Rios. That's yours? Yes. Don't be reading it. All right. Please consider keeping the salary increases for our employees. Please address how the reserve will be not affected by the budget. Thank you. Warren Hassinger. Read it. I support the proposed 0.44 tax rate, including all street improvements, all proposed equipment replacement, and the salary study results. Brad's got one that came in by computer.
Jatin Bhakta. Much as I dislike seeing taxes increase, I believe it is important for the city council to adopt the proposed tax rate. This investment is critical to bringing city employee pay in line with neighboring communities and addressing long overdue infrastructure needs, particularly our roads and drainage. Our roads and drainage systems have been underfunded for years. Failing to invest now only means higher costs later. The deteriorating condition of Lawson Street, which numerous visitors have brought to my attention, serves as our community's welcome mat. Such a poor first impression negatively impacts tourism, undermines local businesses, and diminishes the city's overall reputation. When visitors enjoy safe, accessible, and welcoming surroundings, they're more likely to return and spend more time here and recommend Rockport to others. Positive visitor experiences directly translate into repeat trips, stronger word of mouth, and long-term economic benefits for our businesses, workforce, and residents alike. It is hard to distill the numerous figures that have been presented, particularly when they are interwoven with personal viewpoints. While I recognize and respect the concerns of citizens who have voiced their frustration with rising tax burdens, I maintain that underlying cause is the persistent and disproportionate escalation of appraised property values over the years by the appraisal district. Taxpayers deserve to see their dollars at work. Better streets, safer neighborhoods, stronger city services. Approving the proposed rate is not about spending more, but about investing wisely in the essentials that keep our city running and growing.
All the ones I have, now we're down to the point that the city manager can talk about budget, some of the things we're considering right now. As I said in our meeting the other night, this is a workshop. It is not a debate. So you had your 3 minutes. We won't go back and forth and ask questions of the city manager. She has got the time to speak now. And then once the council has asked what questions they want to, and we've done what we need to do, we will be through. But there won't be any more interrogating of the city manager by folks that already spoke. You had your time. Ms. Schreiner.
Hey, y'all are gonna have to follow me a little bit. So if anyone gets lost, just give me a yell. I was given direction at the last council meeting to see if we could get in the 2.5% area on the INS. So we're gonna take the whole 3.5% on the M&O. Does everybody understand that it is M&O and then the 4 cents on the INS? Okay, so we are at 0.446530. I also don't have a computer presentation, so 44630, where our current budget is. All right. Couple of things. The first thing is, I read in the paper that several council members contacted Sunday said they did not know about the detailed proposal, but acknowledged that city employee compensation has been a top discussion in closed session. So we need to go back and get this for anybody, because I believe you all have a full copy of the Condrey survey and we've gone over it since March, April. So, okay, good. All right, and then you guys asked if we could find a portion of the salary survey in the existing budget. So that's the first thing we did. Step 1. Ryan has about $1 million a year in meters and boxes. If you'll recall, in years past, we've had some severe supply chain issues. So we would have to just order, hoping we would get them. We're at a point now where we think we have enough to get through the rest of the year, and we're gonna leave him some money in there. We're not gonna pull it completely out. But if we take 500,000 out of the meters, cut the B&E to 500,000 as opposed to 750, because remember, we get to absorb the gas vehicles, some of those are new, we'll still be okay on that. Take 500 out of there, so basically offset the salary survey, move the B&E to the M&O. And then that comes out of the debt schedule. Okay? And then if we take the insert valve, 134 out of the same account, that's gonna leave Ryan with about 300,000. You could give me that number closer. Ish.
134 for the insert valve, and then I think we have 950.
Right, you have 950 you're gonna take out 634, so.
Yeah.
That'll leave him some money. If he starts running low, he can order some new valves. Also, staff, correct me if I say any numbers wrong, we've discussed a lot even this morning.
We have 1,000 1-inch meters and 1,000 3/4 inch meters and 1,500 in stock right now. Just to know that, we're not just saying we don't have it, we do have it.
That's to be used for new installs and repairs.
That's right. House is on slate to be built, right now, so we have that in stock.
And over the next few years, we have to look at a solution for our meter system. So, we don't want to invest too heavily in that area. So it's a solid area to pull from. So that basically is what we are saying is covering half of the laundry survey. So we take that 500,000 and pull that money out of debt so we can still do those items. Then the next thing, we have talked about is actually backloading the debt. And whatever amount we take, if we backload it, it will keep our rate more level. On the second page you have there, I tried to do a superimpose, which is lame on the computer and on the paper, but you can see slight difference here, and then here's the little spike. After this big city hall note falls off, it makes this little cliff a little bit smaller, but we have a jump there. So overall, it would be more heavily paid in this area as opposed to just a level pay. Does that make sense? So we bring it down up here. You can see here where we're bringing this down, 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 and then this spikes up. Does that make sense to everybody? Thank you. So that's another factor. Doing that brings the rate down almost a penny. It's 0.08 and change. Okay, we're tracking now? Everybody's still on board here? The next thing we want to do is CID vehicle, we're cutting that. That's an easy one to cut, they can get by. The other thing we're gonna cut is the police radios. There's a very specific reason we're doing that. We have said we're looking for supplemental grants for that. We're gonna look for the supplemental grants on the front end, but we also know that there are some changes coming because of all the Camp Mystic stuff. So we're gonna push that off. Have everything settled out through the state as the way it's supposed to be. We also are gonna write letters and try to get support for the state funding, whatever mandate they come out with. So we're gonna push that out. That takes us to about 5 million in debt, and let me get you that rate. So it keeps all the other projects and gives us 14 days reserve and puts us at 0.425679. So reduced it basically to penny, which I believe Stephanie gave me was 0.423. No, the one you gave me was 0.4223, and we're over that here. So we have the list of projects that are still kept in on this road. And if we want to go further, we can start cutting. Everything we've talked about gets us to here and keeps all the projects that you want done except for the radios.
Can you just say the projects out loud?
Okay, the volunteer fire department reimbursement, fleet storage, belt press, purple pipe, Austin Street, enterprise drainage and street improvements, Bay Shore and Broadway, Water Street, Magnolia, Market, RCC drainage, and then the issuance cost. Oh, I'm sorry. Also, we cut Water Street down to $400,000 because of personal, privately owned property issues there. So that's another cut.
Bring up the. Another question.
On that too. The project that was put in the rate study is for an actual purple elevated tank, so there's continual pressure and we can actually sell the water. That's what that project's for. We're not considering anything right now because we're losing money on our rates. Our rate study included a 5% escalator. San Pat gave us 8%. Is charging us 8% right now, and we are not passing on the the drought rates to our customers. So we are losing money on our utilities right now. In that we're not growing as fast as we need to be to work on those projects and things. So two different purple projects, and then different sources of money.
But it was budgeted, sorry, we just say it was budgeted, $5 million was budgeted, it's not sitting in a pipe, it's not sitting in a pot somewhere ready to spend it, it was just a projected.
Right, so when they come in and they say, what do you need, or what are your objectives with your rates, you give them a list, and they set the rate to fund that list. And if your rates stay at that rate, at that same collection, then you should have the money to fund that. You can borrow against it, you can wait until it gets there to fund it, whichever works. But no, it is a projected project, not a funded project.
Since we're selling less water due to phase 3 drought restrictions.
That account is not growing
It's
this
not
fast.
too much, and then
We're dipping into it.
also we have an 8% increase from St. Pat, so that's gonna further affect that pot of money.
And it won't always.
No,
I mean,
no, if
you know,
it starts raining and we sell water again.
and then we'll get to the list, or, we'll find other ways to fund them because we put them on there because it's important or useful on some respect.
But the purple pipe that we're proposing in this budget is just to get a purple pipe to Memorial Park.
It's to put, right, reuse sprinkler system in Memorial Park.
Helps take some of that water away from the Thule ditch / Little Bay / all the other things, the environmental concerns we have downstream. We can use it on Memorial Park.
Right, and they're not taking from the well that. Right.
It's for us to, is that way or no?
Tell me what?
The cost savings, could that potentially be a cost savings in the water if we didn't do more?
No.
Yeah. Just to go back to the CIP project, so that those. Still on staff, and again, I just want to. Great job of trying. Great project last couple of years. And so. Happen. I mean, like the example of the RCC 800,000 pipe that
that was originally budgeted somewhat in the budget originally, had to take out of reserves due to other circumstances. So things like that have come up in the last couple of years that have really drained a lot of those things that we're always wanting to do, but we're not able.
So I don't know how long you've had the same CIP list, but let me back up. We have 3 CIP lists. We have one with the rate study, we have one with impact fees, and then we have a general CIP list. And our general CIP list, and I was gonna talk to Mr. Brown after the meeting, but that's what he has screenshotted. We don't have a this should be done this year and this year and this year. We have a, if you do it this year, here's how much it will cost. And that is just a rolling list. It's not budgeted, it's not funded, it's just the rolling list of projects that need to be done. And when you fund these items, Ryan is gonna fill that list again, because the maintaining the city is a Golden Gate Bridge. You get everything done, you gotta start over. It doesn't end. It's just, when are you gonna take care of it? We haven't done roads. We've focused a lot on drainage. We've done a lot of drainage. We've done some streets out of our maintenance budget. Ryan has done a really good job of taking care of that, but we haven't budgeted the money to just take care of it. Like you said, the big project at the country club, very much needed, but it had to come out of reserves. There was no other source of funds for it.
You spoke on Water Street, we cut it down to 400,000. And I'll just speak to that a little bit. I met with Ryan and city manager last week, and we discussed Water Street. Portions of Water Street on the water side of Water Street are still private property. So there's some potential issues of using public funds on private property. So we're gonna use this time, probably this year, to work with those citizens and see about using, being able to put rocks and stabilization in the water. We will have to cross private property or use private property or in the water essentially. But it's not all of Water Street, it's just a few little sections of Water Street. So if you have friends on Water Street, ask them if we can put rocks in there.
Well, we still have to protect our investment.
Yeah,
that's
just protect
there.
the road, that's the main, that's the main
So,
thing.
the problem is the private property owner doesn't do their upgrade, so it degrades our investment, which degrades the road for everybody that lives on there. And so we've got to do something to stabilize at least what we own, to get our citizens to and fro. And then if we want to go talk to each property owner about doing a big project, that's another year. We just need to protect our investment this year.
We didn't want to put the money into it right now and then
Right.
run into headaches down the road.
So that cut out 225,000. Proposed. Cutting the.
Again, if you have friends on Water Street. I'm not.
Thank you. I think the last meeting, a lot of back and forth talking. Council was asking for is if we can somehow lower this rate. We knew we were gonna have to do something. There's projects that have to get done around this community. But we just wanted to see if we can try to maybe not put such a huge burden on there's middle class, there's families out there that cannot afford that amount of the raise during a year time. The staff, you know, I appreciate them going back and actually getting some of these numbers down for them. This is not a side to the other to me. This is me trying to listen to all sides of it and trying to figure out what's best for the whole community as one, not just one part. And I don't feel comfortable hearing from one side that this is really gonna hurt their pocketbook, and then also hearing that I'm not gonna be able to do infrastructure or do a drainage project or doing that stuff. It's a really rock and a hard place. And I know the staff did a really good job of making our direction. Sometimes our direction is not always the way that I will go at the end. Doesn't mean that they didn't do their work, and I appreciate them doing everything that they could. I do not blame them in any way. I just want to say thank you for coming again at the last minute and doing something that we asked you to do and actually making something happen that I can at least feel a little bit more comfortable doing for the community and not just, again, from one side to the other to me. I had to listen to all aspects. Also not hurt the pocketbook.
on my end. Austin. Planning. What we would like to do is to make this a shovel-ready project. And so what we talked about this morning, we're going to have whoever comes in and does our engineering do a phased approach. So if the TERS is making money, use some TERS money and do phase one, you know, maybe it's 1,000 linear feet, or maybe it's the lighting, or maybe it's, you know, but we're gonna ask the engineer to give us a phased approach so that over a number of years or over a number of funding sources, we can complete that. As opposed to saying, here's one project and you've got to come back with $5 million to complete it. So I think that with funding the planning and having a plan, an engineer plan, then we can start to at least make progress on Austin. Even if it's a little at a time and even if it's slow, it can still be progress. So
Austin Street definitely. Watching that.
Right. One last thing, so 0.425679.
and this is an estimate. Remember, I'm gonna tell y'all, it's gonna change. This is gonna change, this was gonna change, this was gonna change. It's squishy. You know, until the nail is in on Tuesday, the 9th. That's the final date. This is us running numbers in-house. We have to send everything to Anna, get it back. I definitely will get that out to you. This is our best estimate right now.
With that figure, the best estimate figure, that funds our boundary study. Right, that gives us, keeps our salary. We had some days to the reserve, because of what can be on the M&O side. Right, we're moving, kind of recap this. We're gonna move some funds from.
We have to, it's on.
We're gonna move some funds from Public Works on the meters, since we feel like we got a pretty good stock of that, we're gonna move some of those funds. And then what was the other source?
Other source is we're cutting Water Street 400,000, we're backloading the debt, and then we're taking out the radios and we're actually, please get nothing new. We're taking out radios and CID. He's okay with it. Kind of.
Yeah, if I can speak, so the radios, we budgeted $470,000. And just recently, and this budget started whenever we first started the budget process back in April. And since then, we learned that, okay, it's $470,000 for the physical radios, but then there's gonna be additional costs for ears and antennas. And the disaster, Hill Country, we're looking at, there may be some funded mandates that come up that can help alleviate your grants to get this new radio system up and running.
It makes sense.
That doesn't do anything with the other state law or about cutting police funding, since this was not previously budgeted, I guess.
No, this was my recommendation to the city manager. We're not, this isn't being forced upon the police department. This was my recommendation because of the possibility for some upcoming grants.
Yes, sir. And then the V&E, cut it to 500,000.
We're going from 725 to 750, around there to 5. To 5. Gonna work.
We're not kicking the can, we're just not gonna replace them.
We're kicking a couple cans, but they're small.
We'll be able to absorb the gas vehicles.
Only kicking the P.
I think,
We'll be okay.
and we still get the belt press, we still get the insert valve machine. Okay.
Insert valve, we're gonna move to M&O, not buy it out of debt.
Would you or Ryan, would y'all please explain that, why that, what the insert valve does and why it's a one entity, because of what it can do?
Oh, you want me to?
I can do it if you need me to. So, I mean, it's something that we just came across this year. We've had some vendors come by and talk to us about it, but essentially we can take Orleans Street with the big drainage job. We had to kill the water 20-something times. Well, this machine, we can go and just clamp onto the water line, and insert a valve and turn off water from me to Brad. And, or Mr. Brundrett, and then we can, sorry about that. And then we can lay the boxes across and it wouldn't affect maybe one household or two. So we can do this all over town. Won't lose as much water during water breaks. And you get to keep your water on all day, you know, so this is a new inventive way that, you know, it's new to us. And if we can help out Ranges Pass, body of our friends, we sure will. Maybe we can charge for it too, so. It's something we've never used, but we've tested it and we think it'll be a good thing for our city.
It's a good customer service
Sure
offer,
is.
so you're not shutting down the whole street. You might shut down the house with the leak,
About it,
or,
yeah.
you know, you can really isolate who you're cutting off.
And we know in some part, old Rockport, you know, you go look for that valve for 5 hours, finally find it, go to turn it and.
It's seized or broke, yeah, and that's what we were finding in our local parts of Rockport, you know, it sits in salt water. In the groundwater for decades, so, yeah, I think this will be a good thing for us.
Question. Next year's budget. Also up in, our, that's gonna.
I don't know that we'll see any real bump, you know, in 1 year. You're gonna see a pot in 5 years. Or, you know, the impact fees, unless we can negotiate with the developer to pay those up front, they're paying them as the house is built. So if they build 20 houses, we're only gonna collect 20 houses. We don't collect the whole neighborhood. So Robbie's gotta keep a separate pot and just keep that in there. And then as it builds, we can do that. You can take debt against the impact fee. But you gotta have some pretty solid data that it's gonna pay for itself.
But we've been like that for
Years.
so longer than 5 years, and then impact fees as.
We couldn't use them because we hadn't updated them. Now, we do have a little bit in the pot. I wanna say about 800,000. Okay, well, I probably shouldn't say I can't remember it there, but we do have some money in there. It's not enough or anything substantial for the big projects that are on the CIP list. If there's money to do some of the small projects, we absolutely can do them now because we have everything updated.
But it's something that we have done. Us here in the next, now you're saying. We definitely are utilizing, like, able to the last 5 years that we have.
Yep, another source of revenue.
For now, I'll wait for you.
No, I just appreciate you. Last week. A lot of questions. I fully. But you met what I asked. I asked for.
I'm a little higher than what you sent, but we still get all the projects.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what
Everything-
I asked for a reduction.
Everything in yellow is an ad from.
I think it's very important that we implement the salary study that we paid for. That wasn't free, that we understudy. We paid a fee for that. And gave us good information, and I think it's best that we utilize that information and take care of our employees. That says a lot for the city employees, you know, they feel like they're wanted. Appreciate it.
You have a very good team working for you guys. They work hard and they are dedicated.
I think that was easy to do. There hasn't been a raising years.
The rate, an actual raise, I think, was done with the last Condrey. He was the last one. Given cost of living, I've given my payment. There hasn't been performance increase or 3%. 5 years ago, they did level everybody out. They did it in 2 parts.
Put this out, do you think you can, so be honest, so. Carving up that 40.425 number, what that would look like to the average, the median house. And
Yeah, we have to put all that out. It's, that's a requirement. We'll send it to you guys as soon as we have it. I don't know when you can send this over to Anna. Send it over today if you guys want to go with it. Get the exact spec. I would have to do the median household now.
Average and.
The next year. IP projects. I know you're going to. Not done. For the money. That kind of information. Kind of what.
I would say 2. Number 1, Kimberly keeps a webpage updated with all of our projects and where they are. Do you have the spending on there?
Yes.
Okay, with the spending.
Do it on a quarterly basis.
Okay, so that's always on there. You'll remind me to get those in my city manager's report. We'll do that. And additionally, I would like for you guys to please view this as a pot of money. I have in $800,000 for country club drainage, but if it comes in at 6, I'm not gonna spend an extra $200,000 on the country club drainage. I'm going to pay for the project, and if someone comes in a little short, we might rob some money to do that. But look at it as a project pot, so that, you know, don't come at me and say, you only spent $600,000 in the country club, I want $200,000 more spent somewhere. That's not how this works. It comes in at what it comes in, and we do the project and then move on.
in the way we issue the fund, we'll make it ambiguous enough that we can.
Ambiguous, not the right word.
Probably what, I just chose a big word.
It's not gonna be ambiguous at all. It's probably gonna say streets, drainage, buildings.
I like the great.
Get my crayon, please. The bond covenants will be more generalized than this. Not ambiguous, general.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brad.
Yeah, that was tried.
No, we don't want ambiguous.
We started in February working on it. And we had 5 hard meetings where we all sat down and talked about the things that were important to us, and everybody, we agreed on a whole lot of things. We spent a lot of hours talking about salary increases. We had a salary study done. We talked about the streets being torn up. Everybody had priorities that we were concerned about. Mine were the streets and infrastructure, which it looks like we're going to get fixed, which I'm proud of. The salaries for the city staff, we have been somewhat underpaid for years, and I totally supported that without any reservations whatsoever. It was after 5 meetings, we thought we were about through, but as things work out, we start looking at some of the things that it's wise that they went back and looked, for instance, at Water Street and found out that we could have been spending a significant amount of money on somebody else's property, and we don't really want to do that. We'd like to encourage whoever owns the property to help pay for whatever that is that's going on, and see that we don't put money into some sort of a project to be torn down when they decide to put a driveway in or something. So that is a benefit benefit to us. I have still got a serious concern about our general fund reserve. I think I understood you to say we go up 14 days more, which will be a help. That will get us to what, 130? At one point in time, we stayed at 180 days, which is what we were comfortable with. I'm still not comfortable with our general fund reserve. On the other hand, that is a significant amount of money and we can't get over it in 1 year. Can't be done. Picking up 14 days is a help. I would like to pick up 30 or 40 or whatever. Generally because I can remember Harvey coming in and we had enough reserve to help us get by with FEMA paid off. And that was a huge help, obviously, when they did. Still have concerns about our general fund reserve and we'll keep having those concerns. But I appreciate the staff going back and looking at some things. I understand from the chief's point of view, we have given up cars before when we knew that there were issues going on that would be a little bit different, and we started using paying on cars. It helped and the cars lasted longer, and that was a benefit. For the radios, I would have to say that 30 years ago, the state started telling us they had a radio program we all had to buy into by 2015 or whatever the year was. And you know you're not going to have to buy into the last minute. You sit and figure they're going to give you some money to help pay for it. And eventually they generally do. In this particular case, since that incident in the Hill Country, we know that the state is likely to start telling us what we're going to have to do with emergency radio systems and like that. And there's a good chance that they will help take care of that. I know someone suggested that the state gave money back last year and this year because they could lower taxes a little bit, and they did, but they also had $200 billion sitting in reserve somewhere, and we're giving that away to make schools better and some other things. We don't have that kind of a thing sitting around that we can go to. So it's not real simple to sit back and say we can take it out of reserve and not worry about it. But my concern again is with our reserve. We will work on that again next year. Hopefully, when we get our 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever workshops done, we can get to the point that we're ready, that we have done what study we can, so we don't have to get to the point of coming down to a deadline and worried we're going to get there or not, whether anybody else is worried about that or not. But it was really good work by the staff, and I appreciate what y'all are doing. It was interesting budget time. They're always interesting. I appreciate the work. Matt, can you hear us?
He's on mute.
You're on mute.
No, I want to echo everyone's congratulations and hard work for the city staff of going back and finding that extra money. That's something I asked for the other night, was to try to find. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me.
Sorry.
Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me.
Well, we can hear you.
Good job, Bob. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm in agreement. I'm glad that we were able to find about half of the raise money for the employees from budget cuts. And no, I think I think that's a good plan there. Thank you.
Is there anything else you guys need? Any more questions? Where we go from here? We don't have to republish and do all of the formalities that Anna does for us because we're going to a lower rate than was published. So you'll see this I think you're done. Take his crown.
So what, 5 o'clock?
Yeah, your schedules are blocked out, so you may adjourn the meeting if you like.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a
No,
motion to
second.
adjourn. I have a motion, second, we're adjourned.
You're back.
I'm back.